Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about what's been going on lately. Join us as we share what we've been learning and doing in a life update. Let's get started. Listeners, you consistently tell us your favorite episodes are the ones where we're just talking, and that's what today's going to be. We realize that it's been almost a year since we caught listeners up on what's been going on, and even among the three of us, it's been a couple weeks since we've had a chance to sit and chat. So grab that cup of coffee and settle in as we give you and each other an update on how life is right now. And you guys, I couldn't believe it when I looked and saw that it had been a year since we'd have an update. And I feel like even though we do talk on a pretty regular basis, I always learn something new about each of you in these updates.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when you said it was a year. I felt like it was just a few months ago that we did this.
Yeah.
I know. And I guess because maybe we don't always record these discussions, but anytime we podcast, like the three of us are also catching up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though Marie and Julie live in the same neighborhood, they're catching up. I'm catching up with them. And so a lot of times we just stay on after we record something else and talk about the things that are happening in our lives. But to actually put that on an episode, yeah, it's been a while, I guess.
It has. So let's just kind of dive right in. What's something interesting that you've learned lately? Okay, well, I can start out. This is not like a skill, okay? But this is one of those things where something dawns on you and you're like, I just need to talk about this with friends. And hear me when I say this. Okay, all these things we ever say, we love our kids, okay? We love our kids. But this just as a mom. So my two girls were gone all summer as camp counselors, and they could only talk to me about once a week. So I got out of the habit of this. But then they were home this past week before they went back to college. And I could feel stressors, but I really wasn't sure what they were because it's not like they need me to help them go to the bathroom or, like buckle their car seat. Like you would think that you would be out of like the stressor years. They don't need me to help them do their homework, like not drive them to practice. But like, why am I still feeling some stress here? But I couldn't really name it. Then on Friday morning, we were getting ready to move one of mine back to Mississippi, which is about 5 hours. And we had to wake up at 5 a.m. and leave because she only had till noon to be out because then the next person was moving in. So we wanted to allow ourselves 2 hours to empty her apartment and clean it up if it needed to be cleaned up and stuff. So I said the night before, make sure that you pack a snack or like food, whatever food you want in the car, like make sure you pack that. I don't want to be in charge of that. Like I laid that out the night before. And then even that morning, as we're passing each other in the kitchen, trying to get ready, make sure you get your food. Did you get your food? Yeah, I get my food. We get in the car and I have my lunchbox and I said, is my lunchbox in the back? Because she loaded part of it. And she goes, yeah, it's back there. I said, did you get yours? Oh, no, I thought you were getting mine. And I said, did you pack your food? No, I saw lunchbox, so I thought you packed mine. And I thought immediately I feel anger rise. Like anger that seems from an outsider's perspective to be out of proportion to the situation. But I am angry because I said to my 20-year-old the night before and the morning of, please get yourself some snacks. So she can sense my anger when I say, what? I told you to get your food. Well, it's okay. I don't need anything. Okay, how am I going to eat my food without guilt while she's eating nothing? That means I'm going to have to make an extra stop. That slows us down. She has like special dietary requirements that's probably not going to be met by the gas station offerings. Like, you can't just say, will you just eat yours, Mom, and forget about me? I can't do that. So I turn around, probably angrily, repark, go in, get her some food, come back out, start again. Of course, I don't want to start this 5-hour trip out on a bad note. So I'm like, it's fine. She's like, I'm sorry, Mom. It's like, it's fine. No big deal. But in my mind, I'm thinking, why am I so upset about this? And then it dawned on me, like, it's the mental load. It's the mental load that I thought that I had offloaded. I got used to not having that mental load over the summer. No one is expecting me to remember their snacks. And like, I thought I had removed the mental load. And then all of a sudden, people are back in the house and all the mental loads that they're used to me taking care of are all mine again. They're all back on me, even though I said, no, they're yours. I don't know. Right. And I thought, how old do your kids have to be before you don't feel a mental load? Because Julie, you have older kids, but I know that you still mentally feel a load sometimes. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on this kind of thing.
We need some hope, Julie. Give us hope. You're the shining beacon of light.
Oh, don't look to me. I don't know.
Mental load is a buzzword. And I know it's a lot of times between spouses, but I'm thinking of like even between yourself and as your kids get older, like, okay, here's another example. I'm talking to my son who has a full-time teaching job. He's still in his master's program, but he is full-time teaching. And so he's expected to pay his own expenses now, there at least. And he calls me, and so we're just talking. He goes, Mom, I don't have any sheets. He goes, Mom, I need some sheets. And I said, well, where are your sheets? And he said, I don't know. He goes, they ripped. And I said, well, you'll have to buy some sheets. But the way he said, I need some sheets, it was like, Mom, can you order me? Can you bring some? Like, Mom, here's the problem I have. Now it's yours. And I said, well, you're going to have to buy some sheets. He goes, I don't want to spend my money on sheets. I said, sheets are a part of adult living. Like, he goes, well, it's okay. I'll just keep sleeping on the mattress. I said, no, I said, sheets, towels, like these things need to be replaced in life. You spend $25 on some sheets and they last you 5 years. Like, no, you need some sheets. But it was just so funny that he just assumed that here's a problem and now it's Mom's problem.
I do feel like there is a constant, like, to teach kids or, when you're in that transition, and I feel like the transition must take several years for enough issues to like arise that you're constantly like, they're navigating it. They hand you the problem. You just hand it right back. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so I've learned now that, I've got another one living on their own. There's certain questions I just don't ask because I really don't want to know the answer. And
if you're not sleeping on sheets, then I don't need to know that.
I just don't need to know, like I happened to ask him the other night about like washing clothes. And he was like, oh, I don't want to waste water. So I'm not washing this all the time. Serious? And I'm like, that's where you're choosing to save money is by not washing things. But you're buying the most expensive protein powder out there.
It sounds so noble, though.
And my mind always goes to, why are you skimping on the things that are attractive to the opposite sex? I want to see you get married. Like,
thank you, Marie.
If someone comes over and sees that you sleep on your mattress, that is a red flag to run the other way. If someone knows you don't wash your clothes, they're not going to date you.
And he's like, and then he's trying to, backpedal. I mean, just I don't wash it every time. And I'm like, dude, I do want to get you married off. Do you understand? And so I'm like, do I even ask? And like, so the other day I'm like, so is your house clean? He was like, definitely don't drop in on me anytime right now, Mom. don't stop by. I'm like, got it.
Well, here's what's going to happen. So my son's birthday is the beginning of September. If he has not bought sheets by the beginning of September, I will buy some, and those will be his birthday present.
That's a great parenting hack right there. Oh my gosh, Julie, you've got to offer us some hope somewhere.
I've given up on all that.
But what about the mental load? Like, do you feel like you still carry, like, you still have to think of them and yourself? Like, if you're going on a road trip with David, do you have to think about David's snacks? Because you guys just went on a road trip. He thinks of his own.
Okay.
Yeah. Or we'd stop.
Okay.
Like that,
but if you're packing your water bottle, you don't have to also pack a water bottle for him.
No.
Okay. So there's hope.
Yeah. I guess I still carry the load for bigger things, like their insurance or, like, have you done this? Have you thought about this? Those kind of things. Mm-hmm. So just the smaller day-to-day things have definitely dropped off.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But the bigger things are like, what insurance plan did you choose? Did you get dental?
Right.
What kind of plan did you get? Like, what's your deductible? Those kind of questions.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, what's something you guys are learning?
All right. A lot has been happening in the Silman household over the past couple months. And so it's been kind of funny, kind of interesting to as I explain what has happened. So the beginning of July, Grant moved out. He had lived back at home for a year, and he just moved into his own apartment in town. And already, like, the amount of stuff lessened, the amount of dishes lessened, the food lessened, and so I was more than happy because I knew he was going to a great place. Like, this was a celebration. He was excited. He has a great apartment. He's close to work. He's close to us. So this was a great family situation. All the while, we were also getting Jacob ready to go to freshman year at college. And so we stayed busy. Like, it was a celebration to move Grant out. And so that lessened kind of the load of every day. And then just a couple of weeks ago, we moved Jacob into UGA. And this was probably the most exciting, celebratory, smooth college move-in process we have ever had. Like, it wasn't the first kid, which was devastating. It wasn't during COVID, which was my second kid. This kid was ready. We had intentionally prayed through every part of the process of picking the college, of finding the dorm, of everything. And so he actually asked his siblings if they would come, and Grant had to work, but Abby and Joey drove down from Chattanooga. We had a move-in time, and it was a 15-minute window. And I'm thinking, UGA is huge. How in the world? But this was just really smooth. We had a lot of fun, and I just was surprised. Like, everyone's waiting for mom to break down, and mom's actually excited. Like, this was a fun family situation. And so when we got back home, we felt it. We immediately felt it. And I have to say, it was really sobering. And we're driving away and we're waving goodbye. And Nathan's in the car with us. And I can't tell you what a comfort it was for me to know Nathan was still in the car. Do you know what I mean? So we get home and it's just awkward. It's weird. It's unsettling. It's quiet. The three of us, Bryce, Nathan, and I, like, we're all being careful with one another, like, kind of, almost tiptoeing, happy, but also weird. So we get to Monday, and Monday I start thinking, I get Nathan's work schedule. He's working every single night. I won't see him all day. I don't drive him. I don't do anything for him. He's at work till like 10. Bryce is at work. And I'm like, So Monday I was going to go back to school.
Oh, you're going to start a second career.
I'm like, this is my second act. It's on. So I'm going to go back to school. I reached out. I got information from a school.
Are you really serious? But you didn't let any grass grow under your feet.
No. I'm like, Marie was talking about empty nest and how take your time. I'm like, no, there's no time. I'm going back to school. I'm going to talk to Marie about this. Tuesday, I'm going to go back to a different school, different specialty. All right. Wednesday, I wake up all excited. You guys, I'm going to start my own business. I am not kidding. Wrote out a business plan, Googled how to write a business plan. I've got it. Like, it's ready. Thursday, Nathan comes home like 10:30 at night. And I said, Nathan, would you rather have a pet or another sibling? And he looks at me like, this is the progression of my week of time.
Yeah.
By Thursday, I'm like, would you rather have a pet or another sibling? And we have a whole discussion about it. Like, Bryce chokes on his water.
Pros and cons.
He's like, what is wrong with this woman? And so, okay.
She's losing it.
I'm like, mom's losing it for sure. Like, she's got way too much time on her hands.
Yeah.
And so that was the progression of my week. So the things that I was learning was, who is Mindy? What do I want to do? What can I do with all this free time? I realized all the time that I wanted so desperately was really kind of scary. It was more, I didn't know how that would feel. And I still have Nathan at home. And as much as I'm celebrating Jacob going off, there's something about the middle kids that have a pass. Like they have a pass with their parents because they don't have to charge the path and create the path like the first child does. And then they're not the one left holding everything with their parents at the end to be the last child.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan has a special place in our family right now as being the last one left.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sorry for him. My heart goes out to him because I know that Bryce and I are part of the problem in his life, that he is grieving, being the only one, not liking the time alone. He's pouring himself into school and work. And you guys, like, we're functioning. We're functioning happily together. But the three of us really realized how quiet it can be.
Mm-hmm. And it is hard to watch that last child because you know that they've never been in a house without noise and chaos and laughter, and you know, like they that was just the air they breathed, you know.
Yeah
and it's all different.
It's a specific role for a last kid. And a couple days later, Bryce and I looked at each other one morning and said, I feel kind of bad for saying this, but I really kind of liked how calm and clean the house is staying lately. And so we kind of started coming out of, this week has been better. This is only our second week. I'm not starting a business right now. I mean, I might in the future. I had a really great plan. Like there's some wisdom to it. But also I have a grandpa that is aging and may need some more attention. And I just feel like maybe I need to be available right now.
Yeah.
And so I think taking a breath and doing the things well that are in my purview, my fitness class, serving at the pregnancy center, podcasting, and being available for my grandparents. So I've come full circle back to where I started, and in just taking a breath and, you know.
Time by yourself and time to hear your own thoughts can be scary. It's not hard to have hours to fill when your boys are at school and, you know, they're coming home at the end of the day, but it can be hard to have hours and hours to fill. And you know that you can do anything you want when you're not used to that. You know, you will get used to that and you will find things to fill them. But at first, there's so many emotions that go through your mind.
I will say I'm committed to this last kid in a way. You guys know how much I love sleep. It is a major commitment. When he gets home from work, I'm making him dinner at 10:30 at night. And I'm staying up. And, you know, the little bit that he's here, I want to be there for him and Bryce too. And I could grieve right now, him leaving in 2 years. And I'm telling myself just to chill and enjoy. And, you know, he's got 2 years left in our home. And it's looking a little scary in the future for me.
But you know what? This is kind of a weaning too, because over the next 2 years, you'll get more used to more days where he's not coming home till 10 and you have the whole day to feel. Like right now, this is a new feeling, but it will ease you into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, and we can text Mindy late at night now.
I know. She's actually awake.
It's true. I'm committed, you guys.
Opens a whole new hours of the day that we can talk with you.
I know, right? Very, very different season. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, Julie. Well, what have you been learning lately?
I wasn't sure where to share this, but I think I'll share it here. Just kind of what you were saying, Mindy, about just, I don't know, I feel like I've just been kind of running on adrenaline the last several months and just been so busy and preoccupied with my house and understanding our finances and trying to meet neighbors and new friends and just trying to find my way, you know, and I don't regret that strategy at all. It was pretty intentional, but it just doesn't work anymore. And it all just feels very empty. So I had signed up for Grief Share back in May and I never went because I was still like, I don't need this. I'm not even supposed to be here. So why would I? You know, I'm not going. And I did have some schedule conflicts, but it was more than that. Like I just didn't want to go. Well, now I'm ready to go, and I went last night. for the first time. And so I wouldn't say that it's fun, enjoyable in any way, but I just have to trust in the process. Like so many people, like the leaders have actually been through it multiple times, and they just say, trust the process. Like each week you come, and this was their testimony, they felt just a little bit lighter when they left. And it was hard because you got to hear everybody's stories last night, and it was quite emotional, and I mean it was heartbreaking. And I thought I can't do this if this is what we do every week, but it's not. That was just an introduction, and it's video driven with discussion and homework and things like that, actually giving you tools to work through your grief. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 12 weeks. And I was putting it on my calendar. It meets on Tuesday nights, and the last meeting is on the day that John died. And I thought that is just so, I just didn't know what a year later would look like. And that's where I'll be if I continue to be in the class, and I don't know. I just felt like earlier after John died, like I already felt like I had grieved. Like I'd been grieving for 3 years, and I just needed a break. And so I just have learned that it's time to start the work, a different kind of work. I feel like now I'm really starting to grieve, and I've kind of entered this long, dark tunnel. And I feel like my world is really small. My circle is really small. Like even my sphere of influence, like it's just tiny. And I don't like that. Like, I don't know. I have a little fear of missing out. Like I've pulled back from things. I've dropped some responsibilities of things that I've been doing, and that's okay. I know it's for a season, and I just have to remember that it's for a season. And I was reading in a devotional book that I love. It talked about how as Christians, we love like to pray God's hedge of protection. Like it feels so good, like to think of God putting a hedge around us for a protection. But it said like when that hedge starts to grow really tall and you can't see through it and you can't see around it and you can't see over it anymore, or like I want out of here. Like I need to get out of this. You feel so, but I'm just trying to see it as a place like this is where God has me in this tight little protected place. And I don't need to break out of it. I need to stick with it and go through it. Because I've just kind of taken a stock after listening to the people last night. Like the past 6 or 7 years have really been a lot of turmoil and upside downness for me. My daughter moved far away and I missed her. My son went through a very unexpected divorce. The pandemic hit. My mother broke her hip in a state that we don't live in. And then John's diagnosis, and then 3 years of a roller coaster of treatments and ups and downs. And then he passed away. And that all of those losses just intensify and complicate the big loss. And it kind of helped explain like the depth of grief. Like it's not just this one thing. It's a lot. And there's a lot more to work through, I think, than I realized. So last night helped me to kind of realize that, because people were listing multiple losses. And that was helpful to hear. So that's kind of what I'm learning right now. And it's, I'm just trying to embrace it and go with it, because it's not something I want to do, but I know I have to.
I think that's similar to Mindy's, like waking up and it's quiet in the house, and now what do? It's like you could fill this time you could continue to fill it with a lot of extraneous things. You could be busier than you've ever been in your life. The harder thing is to sit there and work through and feel the grief. And so I think that's so wise that you are recognizing that now it's time to do that, because it never went away. It was still under there. It was still under the surface, and it will still, always be under the surface to an extent. But this grief share process will hopefully work through, at least start the process of working. And like you said, giving you tools. And if you didn't turn around and face it head on, then you wouldn't be in a position to learn those tools.
Yeah, and I think that would just mean delaying. And I do want my tendencies to want to rush through this. Like, I just want it to be over. And I know that is not how it works. It's not over ever.
Yeah.
But I do want to get started because, I said, I feel like I'm in a long, dark tunnel. Well, until you're in the tunnel, you can't get to the light at the end, at least I'm in it now. So,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
I'm really proud of you, Julie. That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was hard to hear. And it was just amazing to hear how, it was comforting too. Like, grief is different for everybody. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Or, I guess there are some wrong ways, but as far as just not to compare yourself, there were people there whose loss occurred 5-6 years ago, 10 years ago, or just in May, like it was all over the board as far as people seeking help. So, you feel comforted in that you're not alone, that these people get you for sure.
Julie, thank you for sharing that. And I assume there's Grief Share maybe available all around the country for people that listen. And so hopefully, whatever loss as you're listening, to maybe check that out to be able to walk that road.
It was started by Nancy Guthrie and her husband. I think his name is David. They lost 2 children to like a genetic disease. And she's written a book, and then they've started Grief Share, and it's held at churches all over. Like it's not specific to a denomination. You could find it at almost any church. And so I just kind of picked one that was close to my house and met at the time I wanted to meet. And it's video driven, and then discussion, and it's very you're going to hear scripture, and it's Christian faith based.
Okay.
So
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, pivoting to our next question that we had from last year, which was an activity you enjoy doing. And I've been thinking about activities that I enjoy doing. I know last year I talked a lot about pickleball, and I still do enjoy that. But I was also thinking about some other things that I haven't done in a while, but that I've been interested in doing again. Like, this email came from the Williamson County Rec Center yesterday, and it was like just their art classes that are offered this fall. And I thought, oh, that'd be fun just to pick one. Just pick one and see what happens with it. Like, I have always enjoyed art, but I've kind of not done any in like 5 years because I got kind of burned out on it. But then, I'm kind of feeling like, what, I'd really like to do some form of art again, or at least explore it. And I think a lot of times I don't want to pursue things because I think you have to be the best, you have to sell it, you have to make it worth your time, but you can do it just because you enjoy it. And I think a class sometimes gives you that permission because it's like, well, I'm in this class. Let's see what happens over 8 weeks. I was thinking about I like to do some needlework. Like, I just find that to be fun, especially as I move into the fall and the winter. And I had these projects that I had ordered off Amazon that I found the other day. And I thought, I never even opened these. Like, they're just sitting here. And then I really haven't even like painted or done any actual home projects this year. Like, I've put up curtains and rearranged furniture and bought furniture and stuff like that, but I haven't like gotten my hands dirty with like an actual project. And now, a year in of not really doing any of the projects, I'm kind of missing that a little bit of like the excitement of picking out a paint color and thinking about how you want something to look. So I can see that I don't necessarily have a new activity that I'm actively enjoying doing, but I can feel my mind starting to move towards wanting to do some things that I enjoy doing, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Actually, it really does, because that's exactly where I am too, is ironically, Bryce methodically works through things, and he's trying to force me to do the same thing so I'm not so flighty. Which is,
so you don't have a business plan and then going to school and then.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyways, so he said this was a game. I did not think it was fun. So I do not call it a game.
Okay.
But he was trying to, like pep talk me. So there's a lot that we want to do now that we have space and time. And we're both looking around and we're like, wow, we could really use to update the kitchen. We could really use to, clean out these things. We could use to, update our driveway. Like there's financial implications of things that we're trying to prioritize. So his game was a financial kind of a ranking of priorities with a list of things that we want to do. And like travel is on there. House projects are on there. Mindy's new car is on there because at some point Mindy's getting out of a minivan.
Now that she's down to one kid.
Listen, I looked back at my van and I cleaned it up and everything right after we dropped off Jacob on that first Monday when I was going to go back to school. And I thought, yep, need a new car today. I don't need all this anymore. Anyways, so our game was to financially rank the things that projects and things where we want to put money so that we can get on the same page and, work through that. So that's actually been a fun activity. It don't tell him I said that. It's turned into a fun activity because we're even talking about, like, oh, it'd be nice to update this or his office or whatever. So we're just talking about a lot of things and wanting to make sure we put priority financially to the things that are important to both of us. Also, football season's coming, you guys.
Oh,
just so you know. I mean, if you haven't thought about it, it's about to happen. It's going to be awesome. The SEC has gotten bigger. A couple teams have joined. We are super excited. And so, like, there's a hint of coolness in the air. Football is coming. So Jacob is super excited about that because he's, of course, at the, school, the SEC reigning champs. So it's going to be fun. But those are the things on the horizon, I guess. Yeah. So we're not doing anything just yet, but lots of dreaming, talking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Julie, what are you thinking about? Or what's an activity that you're enjoying doing or maybe something that you're thinking of taking up?
I had this in a different category, but I'll put it here because it is an activity and it is kind of keeping me occupied, like my mind when I want to. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm taking a deep dive into travel rewards.
Oh.
So I started following this woman who has a lot of really helpful information. And I think her site, it's all free because she has affiliate links, like if you book things or whatever. But she has this downloadable book and for easy reference. And I've even privately messaged her and she's gotten back with answers really quickly. So I unfortunately had a credit card canceled on me because of John passing. When they found that out, it was like, we're done. And it was no warning or anything, just gone. So I had to get a new credit card. So I'm like, okay, what would be the best one for travel rewards? And there were a lot of opinions out there, but she did a whole pros and cons, like which one fits you the best. And all the cards have sign-on bonuses, which was really cool. And so I got the Sapphire Preferred card. And then she tells you how to maximize your points. And she makes it clear, though, that like this is not for you if you don't have kind of good spending controls. Like it's not, the way to get points is not to just spend a lot of money, like, or to spend more money. It's like spending the amount that you would normally spend, but she teaches you how to maximize the rewards, which I appreciated. Because she said, if you're like paying the interest rates on these credit cards, it's not worth that. You need to be paying off your credit card each month. But so I did that. And then she goes into how to transfer those points to hotels and airlines. Like the card that we had that got canceled was a Southwest Rapid Rewards cards. Well, that can only be used for Southwest travel. So this card is I can transfer the points to any airline that participates or lots of different hotels. So
that's really good.
It's given me kind of a fun, like a game almost. So like, how many points could I accrue by this time and where could I go and what could I do with it?
And it's perfect for you because you have a love of travel. It almost encourages you to travel because when you have free dollars sitting there, it's like, well, where do I want to go?
Yeah.
But that's a great first step. I mean, even that step of researching cards would be such a relief for your mind. To be able to perceive that sometime in the future, I'm going to travel and let's think about how to get there. And so hopefully we can come back around to the travel topic in, weeks, months in the future, because I want to hear how that goes. I'm interested. You kind of lead the way in that department, Julie. And I can see you doing that again.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of no pressure because I thought if I ever went anywhere, the longer I accumulate the points, the more I have. Like it's no pressure to use them or to go because they never expire. So it's kind of been just like a fun game right now.
That's great.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about a new place you've been. Speaking of traveling, so have either of you guys gone anywhere this summer? Or I guess you could talk about maybe if you haven't gone anywhere, someplace you are thinking of going. 2 places I went this summer. I had talked a lot about going camping. And so we went with my extended family. And then my son and daughter-in-law, we went camping in Yellowstone and Grand Tetons. And that was amazing. I had never seen either of those parks. I didn't even know before I went. This is how little research I did because my brother takes care of planning everything. And I didn't have to look at anything. I did not even know that those parks are right next to each other and you literally drive from one into the other. I had no idea. I didn't know if there was 2 hours between them or what. Like I just showed up and was like, what's on the agenda? And that was amazing. And even though they are really right next to each other, they're totally different. Like they have different topography, different things for you to see. They look different. One of them I think is interesting, but one of them I would say is more beautiful. One had like really majestic mountains and one has the geysers and like interesting things to look at like that. One had more animal life than the other. Well, that we saw. Like it was just really neat to see that area of the country. I'd never been there before. So that is a place that I went to this summer and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's I've actually not been to Yellowstone either, but Grand Tetons is one of my favorites.
Wow.
It's really
it was
pretty.
really
Yeah.
pretty.
I certainly enjoyed those pictures and was really proud of you, Marie, because I know that was a major step out.
It was.
Like for you. I seriously impressed. We kept it a little closer to home over the summer in our house, and we actually had a very successful staycation, which we were very intentional about. And so this was our family vacation this summer. With having a kid go to college, there were a lot of different things that we had to do over the summer. So Athens, Georgia is now a new place that we have been a lot. And so there was that. But even just navigating West Point Lake, which we live off the lake, but being able to navigate it with our staycation was awesome. So I can talk more about that later. But we had a very successful staycation. And then you guys, Athens, I didn't know this. But when we went there for one of our trips, we were kind of exploring around the town and I saw the best thing and I'm so excited. They have a Trader Joe's. And I didn't even know that they had a Trader Joe's. We happened to pass by. And of course, I'm driving and trying not to wreck. I'm like, what? And like my head flips
That's
around.
so good, Mindy, because I know you don't have access to one.
No, I fell in love with Athens. They also have this adorable Jenny's ice cream there, which we hadn't had since we lived in Nashville.
Oh.
And it's in this adorable house in this charming area in Athens. So I fell in love with Athens. I didn't know I would love it as much as I do. So I kind of joked with Jacob that I would be coming to Athens not to visit him, but to go to Trader Joe's and all the places that I want to go.
I can see that.
So that's kind of a new place for us. And it's just beautiful. So
how long does it take you to get there from your house?
Depends on Atlanta traffic, but between 2.5 and 3 hours.
Okay, so it's not like you can just pop over, but it's a nice, you could bring a cooler.
Day trip.
You could totally get Trader Joe's things and bring them home. It's like going to Knoxville.
Yes. And I mean, I do have Trader Joe's a lot closer in Atlanta.
Do? Okay.
I mean, Atlanta has everything. But the fact, that I will be visiting Jacob, because I don't go to Atlanta to I'm going to go to Trader Joe's. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go through all that. But I will be visiting Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah. All right. What's a new place you've been to, Julie?
The only place I've been to that's totally new this summer is I went to a destination wedding in the Highlands, North Carolina.
That sounds really pretty.
Highlands is the name of the town. And there's a series of little towns tucked in the mountains and valleys in North Carolina, and it's the southern part of the state, almost on the South Carolina border. I'd never been there, never even heard of it, and it was amazing. Like the elevation was around 5,000 feet. So it was, really mountainous. And then it looked a lot like Scotland. It was these giant, mountains with these deep valleys with lakes in them, just like Scotland. Oh. And it just looked like an old resort town that your grandparents might have visited, with little lake houses and docks on the lake. And I don't know, I immediately came home and looked at Airbnbs in these little towns.
Yes.
Because
are they exorbitantly expensive or?
Not really, because those little old houses. Yeah. Now the hotels in the hotels in the town were, yes, the Old Edwards Inn was like $800 a night.
Okay.
So I didn't stay there, but it was just, there's a lot of outdoor activities: hiking, boating, kayaking, whitewater rafting, all of that, horseback riding.
That sounds really cool.
And then just cute little coffee shops and cafes, and it was just really neat. So I think I would like to go back there. And then I've just been hiking, trying to go to waterfalls in Tennessee nearby. I still haven't done my kayaking trip. That's on my list to complete this summer. And I did find a new coffee shop.
Okay.
It's called Hank's Coffee Station in Franklin on Columbia, and it is so cute. It looks like a little English roadside coffee place. It's really cute. And one place, I am actually going to London in September and October, and I had planned this trip before my credit card adventure. So not going on points, paying full price. But I was invited to go with some friends who are going there on a mission trip. They have a church plant outside of London, and they asked me to join them after the trip to kind of be a tour guide for them, and to go with them. I mean, they're good friends. And so I'm going, and David's going to go with me. So there's a lot of security in making my first trip with people I know, and David getting to come along. So that's fun. But a lot of the places I've already been to. I mean, this will be my 5th trip to London. So I've done all of it. And they asked me if I mind doing that. And I said no, because I love going to a place if I'm sharing it with someone new. Like David hasn't seen a lot of this, and they haven't seen any of it. So most of the places I will have already been to, except for one place. And I picked a day trip to Bletchley Park. And if you've seen The Imitation Game, which if you haven't, you should watch that movie. It's really good. So Bletchley Park was the once kind of top secret home of the World War II code breakers. And Alan Turing was there, and he worked on decrypting the German Enigma. And he ultimately kind of paved the way for the first computer. So that's what he's credited with. So, it's an old mansion, and then they had all these huts where all the code breakers worked and the computers were built. And so they said it's, it looks just like it did in World War II. And so it's a living museum now. So I'm really excited about that, because I love World War II history. And
I would love that. That's amazing.
You once recommended a show that I watched about Bletchley Park, I feel like, but I don't remember what it was. This was like 10 years. Yeah, it might have been that. Like 10 years ago I watched it.
That was a show about women, because a lot of the code breakers were women that were hired. And they lived in that area like 10 years after the war, and then they solved murder mysteries in the area.
Okay, that's what it was then.
They used their code breaking skills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the show wasn't about that necessarily that time in history, but it did give history of their jobs as code breakers,
Well, that's really cool. I'll be interested to see.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will enjoy it. I'm sure it'll be great. Let's talk a little bit about things that we are looking forward to doing this fall. I would say that one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to doing this fall, I think it's like you, Mindy, with Nathan now being the last one. You're like, I am committed. It's not that I haven't been committed to my other grandchildren. When they've been born, I have tried to spend a lot of time in the baby stage. But I just had a new grandson born. He's about 10 days old. And I am committed to being there for this newborn stage, because having watched 2 other ones go through it, it is a very short period of time where they will lay in your lap and sleep just as well as they would in the crib. Earlier this week, I said to Abigail, what does your schedule look like? Tuesday afternoon, can I come and be there to give the 1 o'clock bottle and the 4 o'clock bottle? And I will stay in between. And I wanted to give those 2 bottles because I get to hold him. I get to look at him. I get to see his tiny little bit of awake time. But I know that even in 4 weeks, Abigail will want him to be in the crib for a nap. Like he's not going to take a good nap if he's in someone's arm. And they'll get busier. She'll be going out of the house more, like he'll be easier to take places. She'll be feeling better. And so I am looking forward to this fall, really trying to focus and soak up that newborn stage because I know it goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I'm looking forward to doing this fall. But other things, I am looking forward to the things that happen in our neighborhood. So we have Porch Fest, which is like different bands being on porches, and you go around and listen to them. And a lot of these things I didn't get to fully appreciate last year because I had just moved in, and you're still trying to get settled. But this year, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the fall garage sales, Julie. I'm open to you driving us around in your golf cart again.
Nice.
Julie drove us around for the spring garage sales, and it was so fun. Like, that's coming up the week after Labor Day. They have a Halloween festival that I already told my 2 little granddaughters that, we're going to that. We'll get your costumes. Like, there's just things just even right in the neighborhood that I can say, oh, my son and daughter-in-law are moving into their first home, like that they've actually bought in Baltimore. And we bought tickets to go up in October and see their new place and hang out for the weekend. And I'm looking forward to that. So there are some things on my fall agenda that I'm excited about and looking forward to.
That sounds so fun. And I might insert myself in one of those garage sale weekends.
You should, Mindy. It's the weekend after Labor Day.
It sounds so fun.
It was.
Really I need to
fun.
buy something this year. I was the only one that
well,
didn't buy anything.
I know Julie drove us all around, and I don't even think she spent a quarter.
Really? Wow. But she was the driver. She was the getaway car.
Yeah, it was still fun.
Hey, that sounds like a blast. All right, we'll put a pin in that discussion and maybe revisit that. Oh my goodness. So other things, I've already mentioned football happening, which honestly our whole family is excited about. You just cannot live down here and not be super excited about football season. It's the whole town.
Oh, I totally get that, Mindy. If my kids had gone to a school that was the SEC champs, I would have been a bandwagon fan.
We definitely are jumping on the bandwagon. So other than football season, I'm super excited to be able to have the space in my schedule to be able to help my family where it's needed down in Columbus with my grandparents. But I'll get to visit Abby and Joey.
Yeah.
I have plans on the schedule to be able to go and visit them, which I'm excited about. I got invited on another girls' cruise, which happens to be in September.
Oh,
and
awesome.
It's really great that I could just easily say yes.
Is it that's the same people, Mindy, or new ones?
For the most part, yes, it's the same people. And to be able to have the flexibility, and Bryce is like, yeah. So him and Nathan will, they have a boys' weekend. They're being intentional about when I'm gone. So that's really nice. Looking forward to the cooler temps. Honestly, I'm just thrilled to be able to walk outside a lot more, friend time on the thread walking. And so I've been walking through the whole summer, but man, I had a little pep in my step yesterday with my friend. We just felt so much better being able to do the walk in the cooler temps. So that's the other thing. I'm just real excited. And then of course, as Bryce and I figure out what our priorities are financially, I think we'll have a house project happen here soon.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what rises to the top of the priority list.
We will see. Mindy's vehicle seems to be at the top of my mind right now.
That's not a project.
No.
But it's super fun.
Yeah. All right, Julie, what do you have on your list for fall?
The biggest thing I'm excited about, besides my trip, which is the end of September, 1st of October, is I already have plans to go see my grandkids, and it'll be Ezra's 5th birthday. So he invited me to his party, and I wanted to go. And
it's so cute.
So it's really cool now that he's 5. He's just coming into his own person, so he can ask me to come. He can say, Danny, will you do this? Will you be here or whatever? And something I've started doing is I started writing him letters.
Oh.
And I didn't really expect him to write me back. I was just committed to writing him. And so he writes back. He dictates to Molly.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's just been so cute. And I just wanted to start something that he could expect from me, like a tradition or a habit. And so even my letters, like I try to tell a story. I try to include John and like something about him to just keep that memory going. And I end with a joke and, like just... I want him to kind of expect
cool, Julie.
Yeah.
the same thing. And he's written back a couple of times. So, and she said, of course, he loves to get mail. That's kind of a novel thing to get real mail these days. And,
wow.
Yeah.
How clever. What a great way to...
That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe he'll keep these. I don't know. I'm keeping mine.
That's
I
writes
know.
me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah. So I do have some house projects in mind, but I'm not going to do them now. Like I'm probably not going to do them in the fall, but I can start dreaming, like you said. Like I really want to redo my bedroom and bathroom, like to make it mine, because it just has a lot of bad memories, and and I just want it to look more feminine. So
I'd be interested on seeing your Pinterest ideas for that, Julie, because I bet they're great.
I do have some, but I know I won't put those into play just yet. But it seems like we've been reorganizing still. It's like, how many times can I reorganize stuff and go to Goodwill or the dump? But I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
You really have been very diligent about that.
Yeah. I just, every few months, I'm like, it's time again. It's time again. So what motivated this was, David's going to stay with me a little longer. And so we had his apartment furniture in a storage unit. And I thought, I don't think I want to pay, so much per month to store Facebook Marketplace furniture. It's not even worth that much. Like let's just sell it.
Right.
When you move out, we can easily replace that. It's not worth, paying for it. So he agreed. And so we spent a weekend with the truck getting it all cleaned out. And it feels really good to have that off.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a mental load thing.
Yeah.
That is. And a financial, so that was good. But that caused me to, reorganize once again the garage. And today I'm getting my new roof. I hope no one has been able to hear that, the pounding overhead, but I am getting my new roof. That's not a fun house project, but it all worked out in a really amazing way with the payment and all. So I'm very, very blessed in that way. So one thing I did want to share, though, that I have already done, but I'm reaping the benefits now, is on my porch, my side porch, it's basically square. So every rug I tried to find, it's like 10 by 14, 5 by 7, 9 by whatever. So it never filled the whole porch. And it's just like a smooth concrete porch. So it's not very attractive. I wanted that covered. And it always left one dimension with that concrete showing, and so I spent days looking for rug sizes that were closer to square, couldn't find anything, not that big. And so I ended, and I think I've mentioned this before, but now that I have it in, I just want to say how much I enjoy it. I went to a carpet store and just bought outdoor sisal for the dimension that I wanted and had it bound. And it just makes that room or that porch feel like a room, more like an interior space. It's really soft on your feet, and yet I could hose it off if I wanted to. I don't have to worry about it mildewing or anything. So I absolutely love it. So that is the solution. If you don't forget about buying it on a roll and having it made into a rug, if you're ever looking for something that's kind of an odd size.
When you were telling me about this, you said they were going to come and actually install it for you, which you think, well, why would they need to? But they moved the furniture, they got it in the exact right spot. Sometimes area rugs can be hard to center and get just the way you want them. They're heavy. Like, did that process work out well?
Yeah, because there's really no installation as far as there's no pad, there's no tacks, and it doesn't go all the way to the wall. I left like a little 2-inch border so it would look like a rug. But I have steps down from the house to the porch, and they even kind of cut out a notch for that. So it's not a perfect square. It's actually kind of shaped like the actual footprint of the porch.
Wow.
So yeah, they did it all and rolled it out and put my furniture back on, and and it was not inexpensive, but it was cheaper than rugs that Pottery Barn sold. And especially when they didn't even, I was going to spend more and not get what I wanted, to buy a rug. So
what a great custom look. I'm really glad you told me about that. I wouldn't have thought about that, I guess.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, we've been talking for almost an hour, and I bet we could still continue to update each other on our lives. But listeners, we would love to know what you'd like to hear from us, because these life updates are fun, but it's also fun when you send us topic ideas. Mm-hmm. If there's something that you want to hear us talk about, if this has sparked anything in your mind, please come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. I've really enjoyed this life update. I always enjoy talking to you guys, and I always learn something new.
Yeah, thanks for catching us all up.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And I'm learning. I'm learning so much about you guys. So I'm glad you thought of this, Marie. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.